Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. You know what it is. It's that time. IZM Sports is in the building. What's up, Big West?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
You got that little dribble on your shirt? A little
Nah, I just
dribble?
got that. Yeah, that's a little dribble. That's a little
Little,
dribble.
little dribble? Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
see. No,
yeah,
because your West Henderson is blocking the whole thing, so I couldn't see it.
oh,
It said Kobe. Yeah,
yeah.
that's fresh. That's fresh. Enough respect. Rest in peace, Kobe, Bryant, and Gigi. And all the other lives that were lost a year ago in that fateful helicopter crash. You know what I mean? It's that was a sad day in sports. It was a sad day in America. It was a sad day around the world because truly lost a great one. I know you want to, give some salutations to the great Kobe Bryant, Wes.
Yeah. It's been a year. We lost a great one. They don't make them like that anymore. He never cheated the game. So you were gonna get 120% every night out, and somebody was gonna pay. So that's why I have much respect for Kobe Bryant. Never had to ask no questions about whether or not he was balling or not. His heart was always in it. So salute the 24/8.
Mm. Enough respect to Kobe Bryant.
Into Gigi, number two.
And not to get too deep into it, but I think it's deserved. You got to salute Kobe Bryant, the man, the transformation, dealing with, personal issues and demons, family, and otherwise, how he over time just became a beacon of push for women's sports, a push for, life outside of basketball, being creative, writing, winning an Oscar, really supporting the WNBA, supporting women's amateur sports. Like the dude's life after sports, the trajectory was probably going to be greater than his sports career, which is
Absolutely.
scary, bro.
Absolutely.
Beautiful and scary. So,
Yeah.
as sad as it is, like he did give us something glorious to live with that we could, still make us feel good when we think about him. And that's a dope thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man.
Well said. Well said.
Respect. So I want to, give a shout out to A Rice is in the building. Fred Morton is in the building. Peace, peace, peace. Shout out to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Spread the word. Share this feed. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. You know how we started off. We start off with a Madism joint, but before we do, let's just recap last week because we had somebody special on last week. Coach Dr. Eric Harrield from the St. Anthony's program and all the other basketball programs that he's been a part of over the last 15, 20 years. And that was something else. If you want to, give us your thoughts on what happened last week with the coach, it'd be dope.
Oh man, Coach was great. I mean, the respect he has for the game, his journey, his connections within the game, the way he broke down the game. I mean, it was a beautiful thing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Know that there's still people out there that see the game kind of in the same light that I see it is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that he's a doctorate, he has his doctorate in education.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that the game is the game, but people are more than the game, and the game has never made him. He's making the game. So, that's what I got from Coach last week, and we look forward to having him back shortly because he has a lot he can offer in information and knowledge in terms of the game of basketball and the game of life.
Yeah.
So, salute to having him on there. I thought that was a great connect to have.
Yeah. And I got some other jewels to share with you after the show, some updates on our progress with the show. You're gonna be very happy. But this week, what are we talking about this week?
Well, we got to recap the championship weekend in football for sure, and go back to who picked what and what picked who. We got to get on that. That's football. Then we got to I like to touch on some other things that are going on around the game of football that that have to do with the game of football, whether it be coaching and just off the field issues as well. Mm-hmm. And we're going to give a tribute to another NBA contributor who I think we need to pay respect to, and then we're going to talk about the NBA all-decade teams.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, and we'll stop at 2010 because it ends in 2020.
Okay.
So that should be a treat.
And just to give y'all a heads up, yesterday I poked the bear. So,
yeah.
So the bear is poked. The bear is poked.
The bear is poked.
Listen. We're gonna shoot to this video. Madison 2015. Big shout out to Treasure Do It All, Keith Murray, who's on this joke on this John. Domingo Padilla is the producer. I want to shout them out. Big Norris, TGE, on the video. I want to play this right fast. While we do that, invite people to the room, fellas and ladies out there in internet land. Bring people to the Madison room, madison.info, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. And yeah, we off to the races.
I'm smashing the low. Channel 3, I make a run to the store. Channel 4, hit the store with the Philly Plus Sports.
Another day off, right, man?
Wake up in the morning, got the yearning for herb, which loosens up the nouns, metaphors, and verbs. And adjectives, ain't a magic kick, but I'm kicking. Like it, it your lungs like a feather. You bother like a dog, man.
Yes, sir. Back in effect. That was Madism 2015, also known as Smoke Madism, featuring Tretch, Do It All, Keith Murray, produced by Domingo. Big shout out to all of them. Big Norris, TGE on the video. You know what I mean? Sean Eason, what's up, brother? Good to see you back with us, no doubt.
Daddy Soupy in the house.
Yeah, I mean, you know, somebody else. I don't want big old. Yeah. I don't know if you can see the comments, but I'm gonna leave that there. He's checking in, big old nuts.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we at the NFL, right?
NFL championship weekend on our way to Super Bowl Sunday. Last week, you and Spliffy decided to go Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we took that L.
And Pat Mahomes. Yeah. And y'all were halfway right, unlike
halfway
myself.
Yeah.
Who went with the GOAT to play against the kid.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Good. Yeah. I mean, good for you. Good for you. You did your thing. You did your thing.
GOAT against the kid. Now, you know, it was a good game. Brady didn't play his best, but I'm going to say this. For all the people that hate on Tom Brady, the reality is this. I mean, in 20 years, the man has been in God knows how many. I think it's he's been in 10 Super Bowls and 14 championship games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to deny this man his greatness is ridiculous. And I'm not a New England fan, but he's a 6th-round draft pick. He ran a 4 ever at the combine. So, you know, this man wasn't a person that people knew about. Lost his spot to Drew Henson at Michigan. People remember Drew Henson was a Cowboy quarterback for a minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to see what he accomplished. New England, to put it in reflect on it, is like New England was 5-11 before he took over. You know, so, and they were 0-2 when Bledsoe got hurt and he took over and they went to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, he did kind of manage games his first few years, but let's not forget the 19-0 season that he had. They lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, but they had a perfect season going into the Super Bowl and lost on a miracle catch. So it's just, and you think about all the receivers that he's thrown to, unlike a lot of other quarterbacks who have had weapons with them for years and years, this man has probably thrown to 30 different wide receivers in his career. So there's a lot of things to respect about his game. You know, we might not respect his politics, but the reality is on the field, he's a beast, and he took a team that haven't been even talked about in years to the Super Bowl. That's the reality of it.
Like that.
To the Super Bowl.
Like that.
So,
like that.
That's it. And it wasn't a hand-picked squad. He didn't take somebody popular or somebody that was a quarterback away in the playoffs. He went to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. No doubt. So, you know, when he first took over for Bledsoe, and this is no lie, and I want you to confirm this later. The game he took over for Bledsoe, I said he's going to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And everybody laughed at me.
Yeah.
Everybody laughed at you, and he went and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's something about that guy where he's so unassuming. Like he doesn't give you that, you know, superior athlete. Like he doesn't give you that presence off the field, but his command of the game of football, and his skill set, how he's mastered his, you know, he's not the fastest. He doesn't have the strongest arm.
No.
He's not going to run away from you.
No.
His footwork is very limited. His footwork is in the pocket footwork. Yeah. Right. I mean, he's an amazing quarterback. He is truly the greatest of all time. And, you know, even though you said like for many of the years he was a game manager, and, you know, even this year in Tampa Bay, like, you know, he's not per se one of the best, but he is one of the best statistic quarterbacks this year. He's not giving you off the chart numbers, but you're in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Like Aaron Rodgers last week, for all intents and purposes, outplayed Brady. Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers really should have tried to run it in. I think he should have ran that ball in that last that second to last play. Yeah. But
coach should also give him another chance anyway, because he's Aaron Rodgers.
yes,
and respect, if you don't make it, you still have to play defense and get the ball back with the same amount of 4 timeouts, like he said.
yeah.
Well, he's still in the same position.
Well, I want to hold that point just to close out on Tom Brady. Is that, you know, he is truly the GOAT. I think this year with Tampa Bay proved it. And it's just a beautiful thing to see a 43-year-old, you know, excelling at the game, and he'll probably be back next year if he wants to.
Absolutely, he takes care of his body.
Yeah,
you know, so yeah, he just is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
and so for people that just don't like him, he's 43 too. We forgot to add that part too. So, you know,
43, yo.
And you know, to be honest with you, even to kind of pick the Super Bowl for me, it just won't surprise me if they win. You know, I'm gonna probably end up going that way. We got a week. We're not gonna pick this week, but we got to, because we'll do it next week, because the Super Bowl the following week. Things happen, injuries. We just got to kind of play it out. But you know, I'm leaning that way just because I just feel like, you know, this is what he is.
Like, it's destined, it's written. It's like he's that guy. Like, he's like when the first time I saw the first game I watched him, I knew there was something about that guy. I had no idea he'd be in 10 Super Bowls. Yeah, like that's unfathomable. Like you said, the nigga is 10 Super Bowls. Like,
let me ask you a question.
1-6, crazy.
But I heard something this week that I was interested in on social media, and I want to get your opinion on it. I want to ask you this.
Let's just get the Aaron Rodgers point though.
But let me get this question in real quick before this football Brady thing. Do you think that Brady's 10 championships in football is more impressive than the NBA players, the 6 NBA players who have been to 9 and more championships? What's more impressive to you?
Brady's 10 Super Bowls.
Absolutely.
Because
he's only one that's done it. There's other people that have been to multiple NBA championships. This guy's the only one to do what he's done.
Yeah, it's also like, you know, with basketball, you're in playoff, you're in a series.
Yes.
Right? You have to win a series of games.
One game.
You have more chances to actually do it. Football, you get to the playoffs, you lose. That's it. So for 10 seasons, he's dominated the AFC. Undeniably, he's the AFC championship king. 10 years,
10 times
straight.
Yeah.
Won 6 Super Bowls.
Yep.
And he could very well win his 7. Like from now on, it's just all cake. It's all gravy. It's like I don't think we'll ever see anybody accomplish what he. Like, people are talking about Mahomes right now, and I really like Mahomes' game.
I do too.
I think,
but he's a phenomenal player.
It's the odds. It's all the other variables that come with football that you can't calculate in other sports. You're playing with, you know, 50 some odd other people have to show up every day, as opposed to 12 other here, 9 other here, 5 other here. You know what I'm saying? It's a different. So it's too many variables, and his imprint on the game is so undeniable. The only other person that's like that is Jordan, but you're still only talking about 6. And the physical demands of football, I'd have to say, are more than basketball.
Yeah, I agree. But you know, we can move on from
next subject. Brady's that dude. All right, we ain't mean it. You know, it is what it is, though.
Yeah, we can move on.
Aaron Rodgers, though.
Glenn Bell is in the house. G. Bell, the New York Jet fan. Yikes.
He said, "How you gonna be the greatest quarterback in history and the second best quarterback in the Super Bowl next week? Because you're 43 and father time is father time. Like, you got like Mahomes is what, 26, 7 years old. He's like in the prime of his life. So it's just, and
but you got to think, he's a Jet fan, so he's talking from, you know, that experience from being in the AFC.
Get spanked around for all them years, man. That's bad news. Now, Deshaun Watson is another story. Now we're talking about the Jets, but before we get there, Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Where does he place now?
Yeah.
In the pantheon.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, like, I feel he should have ran the ball in. He didn't get another chance. I want to have the conversation about LaFleur and what's up with that. Like, you're Aaron Rodgers, you should be able to do what the fuck you want to do. That kind of missed me. Like, I don't even know this. Like, nigga, it's the Super Bowl. Like, it's playing for the Super Bowl. Like, you just, like, we supposed to just, I got this. Like you did McCarthy for all them years. Like, you're supposed to just do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
and he didn't run it in, like you're supposed to give your body up. You're supposed to make that happen. You're supposed to score that touchdown. You're just supposed to do that. Like
Yeah.
it's late in the game. Like you're playing for the Super Bowl, bro. Like you're
Mhm.
playing for your legacy.
Mhm.
That I want to make this happen. I just didn't see that in Aaron this year. I didn't see that.
Aaron Rodgers is like just too cerebral for his own good. I mean, he's got all the tools. He's nice. I mean, he doesn't throw a lot of picks. He can throw people open. I mean, I've seen him make some incredible plays. But the truth of the matter is, he's been to one Super Bowl, and he's won it. But he's been to one, and that was 2010. So, you know, we're 11 or 10 years later, and you know, he's still hasn't improved on that. Should that define him? Probably not. But even a guy like Peyton Manning, as great as he was, he had to get to multiple Super Bowls for people to kind of really solidify his career. So, you know, Aaron Rodgers, and you got to think Aaron Rodgers is really living up to the legacy of Brett Favre as well in Green Bay. And Brett Favre got to multiple Super Bowls. So even with that said, and Brett Favre was a gunslinger. I think Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback, you know, analytically than Brett Favre. But Brett Favre might have just been a better leader for Green Bay. You know, and that's hard for me to say because I don't think he's the greatest leader. But for the situation he was in, he might just be better than Aaron Rodgers at that. You know, so, you know, it's just sad to see a quarterback that talented only get to one Super Bowl. But, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, getting one Super Bowl is dope. But, like, to be the best skilled quarterback.
Yeah.
The most skilled.
He's got 3 MVPs. I think
it's an undeniable talent, but you should see decisions where it's like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Like, why wouldn't you do that? And even with LaFleur calling that play or calling with the for the field goal, like, nah, nigga, chill. I got this. Fall back.
He got to wave his coach off at that point. I mean, Matt LaFleur, you know, he should have just like pointed to him like, no, this is not how we end in the year. I got to go out. We got to go get this because again, like I said, if they don't get it, they still have to play defense, pin the other team down, they get the ball back. The same scenario applies, but they chose to take the ball out of his hands, which is kind of a weak call. It was a weak call, to be honest with you. Let's call it what it is. It was a weak call. But, you know, Aaron Rodgers has himself to blame, to be honest with you, because he's just got to be a little bit more aggressive and just go get it. And he just never really shows that true burn in his belly the way it should be. So, you know, but football, we got Kansas City and we got Tampa Bay. We're going to move on from Aaron, and we'll talk about the Super Bowl next week.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears. Our next topic is...
we got more football, but not in a positive light. We're going to talk about the gentleman Chad Wheeler from the Seattle Seahawks, who is 6'7" and 303 pounds, and chose to choke out his girlfriend twice to unconsciousness, and he wants to plead that he was in a manic situation. So, you know, he was arrested for first-degree domestic violence. He had also, he had imprisonment, unlawful imprisonment. That's another charge he had, and and resisting arrest by police.
Wow.
So there was quite a few things going on with this young man, and he said he had a manic episode.
Yeah. My question is, how come attempted murder is not one of his charges when he said to her, "Oh, you're alive"? He expected it.
Oh, you're alive.
Oh, he expected her to be dead.
Yeah, it was attempted murder could be a charge. I mean, I think it was a little bit more than domestic violence.
More than domestic violence. He tried to kill her.
Yeah, he tried to kill her. And according to the 911 call, that's exactly what the woman said. So, you know, Seattle's released him. He's given a statement apologizing, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, the fact of the matter is this is under criminal investigation. He won't be arraigned until February 9th, but we'll see where this goes. But I think to do it justice on a visual and a verbal matter, we didn't really see anyone talking about this.
No, we haven't.
The problem that I have with mainstream media and sports outlets, because we all know that if he looked like one of us, this would have been a topic of conversation.
Yeah, and just to add further context to this, right? He wanted her to bow down to him.
Yes.
She refused.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he snapped.
Mm-hmm.
In today's climate,
Mm-hmm.
white man,
Mm-hmm.
black woman,
Mm-hmm.
there's that whole racial component that you
Yes.
can't escape.
Yes.
Not to say that it was racially motivated,
No, not at
but
all.
it's just to say that there's a context. You would think that the media would have hopped on it
No.
quicker because of the context.
Now, black man, white woman would have been front page news.
I want you to bow down to me. No,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah. That's basically what happened.
Oh, you alive?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty sad that it had to come to this, but this black woman was, unconscious, and he wants to play a manic episode. So let's see how this plays out. It's early in the process, so we're gonna watch it carefully. But what we're gonna do differently, we're gonna keep our supporters and our fans updated on the real facts of the situation, because, like I said, it was real hard to find with Skip, Shannon, Stephen A, Max, all of those. Nobody's really talking about this.
Well, I did see Skip and Shannon cover it today.
They did today, because yesterday.
Today. And Shannon said he didn't find out until yesterday during their show. He was kind of like, being defensive in that, this is something that should have been talked about off top on Monday. They should have been let's talk about this.
Yeah.
But it didn't get any light. And then the Seattle Seahawks, their statement was real milk toast.
It was so
real
quoted and just watered down.
Let's just distance ourselves from this guy who has a history, apparently, of mental illness. And even when he had an episode in college, I forget the school he went to. Let me not, get to misquoting, but he had an episode in which you could see that law enforcement was very gentle
with him.
Yes. As opposed to dealing with him.
6'7", 303. So that's a big man.
As a big man. We see so many examples of other men that big not end up so well on the other end of law enforcement.
Eric Garner size, huh?
Right, exactly. Right. He ends up with a career in football, and he's able to then assault someone else. And come on, Seattle, you got to really step up and do better. I expect more.
And the NFL needs to step up and give us something else too, because we saw her face, and we continued to see the Ray Rice video of the punching and everything like that, which obviously neither one of us condone that either.
No,
but we just want equal play when it comes to everyone in the NFL.
Well, Ray Rice didn't try to, he didn't attempt to murder him.
He
didn't try to kill. He didn't try to kill.
No, absolutely
no. And like I said, we're not condoning.
No. Absolutely not. Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's in all fairness, come on now.
Let's keep it real.
So all right.
Let's get off that, because that's just negative. Even though the next piece is still kind of negative, but it still reflects on NFL, and that's still this. We've been harping on it for the last 3 weeks, and that's this coaching situation. And
it's sad, bro.
It's just a joke now. But we both agree that at the end of the day, you can't make owners hire anybody, right? Let's just get that out in front. Like, you can't make these men hire anyone. It's their team, right?
Right.
But on the flip side of it, it's just comical, because the dog and pony show that they put in front of us is so offensive, because to a lot of these guys, they'll say, hey, you got to have experience. These guys get experience. Then that's not enough. You're 51 years old. You've been coaching. You go through the whole coaching tree, and you win the Super Bowl, and you're on your way to the second. And then they go hire a 37 or 38-year-old person that doesn't look like you, that doesn't really have any experience at all, but they get a job. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't make any sense. And, the Bieniemy situation is such a travesty, because I just think people need to be reminded again that Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Chicago Bears, who did not call plays under Andy Reid and only went to a playoff game with his name is was Alex Smith. He was afforded a job in Chicago, becoming the OC for Kansas City.
Yeah, the same place it's in.
Doug Peterson, same thing. Philadelphia coach. He was the OC under Andy Reid at Kansas City, coaching Alex Smith, and received the Philadelphia job again without a Super Bowl again. So what's the problem with Eric Bieniemy, who has a Super Bowl under his belt? And even last week, when he made the call of the game, when they needed a first down to end that game, And they already said that Eric Bieniemy calls the plays. They gave the credit to Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Yes, they did.
It
And we
was the
know
call.
that Bieniemy is the
What a call by
it
Andy Reid.
It was sickening.
What they said.
It was sickening.
It was crazy.
It was sickening.
So, you know, and Andy Reid is a great coach. Don't get me wrong, but it's just.
I'm sorry. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Now we excuse Mr. Green.
You talk to me. Oh yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, you know the wife just hey man.
You got the wife takes precedence. However, back to Andy Reid is a good coach, but today I think we need to give a shout out to Bruce Arians.
Oh my God,
who has his whole staff. He has females and African Americans.
Yes.
And guess what, guys? They're in the Super Bowl. So we can coach the game. We are able to do X's and O's on the offensive side.
Wait a minute. I got to go off on a tangent right fast. Not a tangent. It's to this point. But just so we got this thread going on Facebook about this very same thing right here. About how there's not enough black coaches. And big up to Bruce Arians for having the staff that he has. And I have someone trying to tell me, oh, that's because of Tom Brady. That's Tom Brady who did that. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I did my research and I'm seeing that Bruce Arians has a long history of being an active coach.
Yes.
So when I see a whole system that's, minority, I don't like that term, but, black, brown, women, when I see that through a whole system, I think that that's more than just a Tom Brady saying, do this for me, Bruce Arians. This is who you're going to hire. I don't know if I see that. What do you think?
Just pose that question one more time.
So look at the staff that Bruce Arians has.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a Bruce Arians staff or is that a Tom Brady staff?
It's a Bruce Arians staff, period.
Right.
And Byron Leftwich is the OC. He's been the OC there. He has a different quarterback. Obviously, Brady has a different skill set than Jameis Winston. We're not going to deny that. But Bruce Arians has that staff is his staff. That's not a Brady staff.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Period.
Okay.
Todd Bowles is the defensive coordinator there. That's his defense that got better each week. That's not Brady playing defense. Now, the Brady effect is the winning mentality that the not being able to accept anything less than greatness. He brings that into the building.
Yes.
But those coaches are in play.
Right. And that we share the same perspective on that. It's obviously an Arians coaching system, right? Yeah. That's not to take anything away from Tom Brady, who has to agree to coach. I mean, Tom Brady's the GOAT regardless of Tampa Bay. Yeah. Like, he is who he is. He brings that cachet with him. Yeah. And he have to humble himself to say, I want to play in this system. And he said, so that's applause. That's kudos to him. That's applause all the way around. And he has enough of he's the GOAT. Yeah. If Tom Brady puts his hand on you, people are going to check for you. And accordingly, Brian Flores out in Miami.
Out of Miami doing
Brady can take some credit. Belichick, exactly. Like
Belichick has a couple other guys as well. Romeo Crennel is another one that he had under his tree.
So and we applaud that, and that's like individual coaches, but the system, the NFL, the ownership around the league are not committed to hiring African Americans in head coaching and executive positions. They're not committed to it.
They're not committed to it.
Yeah,
it's not even an option to a lot of them. But the other point that I wanted to make, even about it was a call in that game that was similar to the Kansas City game. And Troy Aikman did a good job to give Byron Leftwich credit for a play that occurred at the end of the game.
Yeah,
he said a great call by Byron Leftwich. He understood that that was a call that was made by that OC, and it afforded Tampa Bay a first down, and it pretty much ended the game. But it was the same type of scenario as the Kansas City game. But one crew decided to give the credit to Andy Reid when we know the OC, but Bieniemy calls the plays, and the other crew gave the credit where it was due. So, we want to make sure we point out both.
That's right. Exactly. And to Troy Aikman's credit, he has a history of just being on the right side of the conversation.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
He's pretty fair when it comes to critiquing.
Yeah, consistent. He's a consistent guy. I got a lot of respect for Troy Aikman.
Yeah,
Let me see what the building is saying. Ooh, thank you. I'm smoking Madism, so I got the munchies.
Well, Fred Morton has said Troy Aikman is that dude on the mic. So shout out to Fred for putting it out there for Troy Aikman.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Fred. Michael Milton, what's up? Ulan, what up? Glenn Bell still with us. Yo, man, we appreciate everybody who, taps in and shares the Madism sports experience with us. Yeah. Okay, so yep.
Now we're gonna get back. We got to switch our gears to the NBA. But since we get into the NBA, I like to just really give a shout out to a brother on NBA TV who passed away due to COVID. His name is Sekou Smith. The brother was 48 years old. A married man, 3 children. And we just want to, say I'll send our condolences to him and his family.
Respect.
And, just to also let people know out here that this thing is real.
Yeah, it is.
And the last few weeks, I know we're all in different parts of the country, but a lot of people just don't understand how real this thing is because they may not have people around them or have experienced any type of loss. But because you haven't experienced a loss doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And because we have experienced losses doesn't mean that everyone's going to die. The bottom line is that we have to respect this disease, and we have to be very careful and mindful and safe. And just like I said, respect your neighbor. And you want to practice the social distance. I rather just say I'm gonna choose distance over social. That's gonna be my thing. It's not about social distancing anymore for me. I'm just gonna choose distance over social because you control that. Other people will try to get into your space. So rest in peace, Sekou Smith. You were a good brother. I loved listening to your monologues on NBA TV. You were fair to the NBA players, and you brought fact to the table. So rest in peace.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you're saying about being safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. We're still seeing a lot of folks out there, not being safe, not masking up, going in large crowds. Everybody just no mask. This is the real deal, Holyfield. And we need to act like it. We're watching too many of our loved ones pass away unnecessarily. When we could have prevented it. So just be mindful, mask up. It's not a hard thing to do. And, if you can stay still, that is the best, because like Wes just said, that's what you can control. You want to be in spaces that you can control. So, rest in peace, Sekou. And yeah.
Well, now this is like the topic that we really wanted to discuss today. And I hope all our listeners and followers that are out there right now, we expect a lot of input from you guys. We want you to get your fingers ready, start typing. But I received a post this week, and it was about the all-decade teams, all-decade player. So we're gonna start in the 60s, and we just want some feedback. I'm gonna ask Hakim his feedback and what he thought or who he knows from that era, and he can kind of give me his feedback on it. But the 60s. The player that people thought was the most dominant player in the 60s, which would be 1960 to 1969, the winner was Wilt Chamberlain. So we have Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, if there's anybody that disagrees in the building, Hakeem, what you think about that?
No, definitely Wilt Chamberlain. But let's list some of the other players from that era so people can get an idea. You got the Bill Russells, the Bob Cousy's,
Jerry West.
Bob Cousy was the 50s. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry West. You had Elgin Baylor. I mean, those are the main names. You had
what's my man? What's the I was gonna say he's from the 50s. The big center from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Shays? No.
Ralph Shays is the 50s or 40s. That's in Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Mike. George Mikan.
George Mikan. That's way early. I'm gonna agree with the 60s and go with Wilt. I was born in 69. I know some of the players, but not to just play myself out. I always preface when I talk about NBA greats, I always preface it by giving respect to the people I didn't see. So I don't talk in absolutes because I didn't see Wilt play as many games. I see highlights of him, but any man that scores 100 points in a game got to get respect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna agree with that Wilt Chamberlain statement.
Yeah, I will. Wilt's definitely that guy for me. But I would encourage everybody to YouTube old footage of Wilt Chamberlain, old highlights of Wilt Chamberlain. And it is scary. Like, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, we saw that footage in like grainy black and white, so it looked just different. But when you see it, colorized and touched up, and the game looks way different, way faster, way more fluid than I remember it. And Wilt was just obviously the most dominant. He was like, the Greek freak.
Yeah.
But better. But better. Handle the ball, pass it.
You forgot about Oscar. So Oscar Robertson is another one. Aaron Rice has brought it to my attention, and that's right. Oscar averaged a triple-double before Russ was doing it. But I would still go Wilt.
What year did Oscar Robertson average those triple-doubles? That wasn't the 70s?
No, I think that was the late 60s.
Late 60s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, but Wilt is definitely hands down the most dominant player.
I can't disagree there. The 70s, we got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
No doubt.
The 70s. So you got Dr. J. You've got David. David Thompson was another name back in those days. You had a lot of centers. I mean, you had a lot of big men back then that Kareem played against. The Artis Gilmores, the Bob Laniers. They were all in that. Dave Cowens was a big man in that time. So there were more players that we might have been familiar with in the 70s, but I would probably have to say Kareem myself. Kareem anybody that has a shot that's unstoppable. Kareem made free throws at any point of the game. Kareem played defense. It's still the verdict.
And he had to battle Wilt.
Wilt. Yeah, and he played against
Wilt, but he had to battle Wilt.
He had to battle Wilt, and he had success against Wilt
later. Yeah, but there's some footage of Kareem's Lou Alcindor's rookie season.
Yeah,
Wilt was toying with him like you would play with your daughter.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy.
Wilt got him.
It was like he was playing with his little son. He was sunning him. It was. But
I'm gonna read what Fred Morton said. And I don't disagree with him. He said it's a tough decade to just pick one. But I guess when you get to 70 and 79, the NBA still hasn't reached its peak in terms of fan viewership. And the next decade for me is when things started to click in, because we get into the 80s, and we all know you still had the Doc coming in the 80s.
Hold on 1 second. Before we leave the 70s,
yep,
Kareem is my GOAT.
Gotcha.
And Doc said Kareem is the GOAT. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, Kareem. Let's talk about Kareem's accolades, because as we get closer to like LeBron catching up to Kareem, I like to put in perspective that Kareem hasn't taken a 3-point shot ever in his career. So let's put that in perspective. Kareem also played 4 years of college basketball. Let's put that in perspective.
That's right.
So we're talking about two factors that go into Kareem's point total, and we still haven't caught him yet.
And he's got the most points in NBA history.
The most points in NBA history.
And the most unstoppable shot.
But the last point of it is that Kareem is a center, which depends on a guy like LeBron to get him the ball. So he doesn't have the ball all the time. Kareem was a center that had to get the ball. So it was like these three, it's like a couple of factors. And it's a great accomplishment no matter who does it. But what I wanted to say is, because if LeBron catches him, that's phenomenal. But my point is, Kareem did it without a 3-point shot. Kareem did it from the center position. And you have to depend on others to get you involved from that position. So that's a big feat. And I don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think we really need to reevaluate the conversation and add Kareem into the mix, but that's for another time. Right, that's 70s. Now we're in the 80s.
The 80s, the selection said it was Magic Johnson, and there's going to be a lot of debate here because people could say Larry Bird in the 80s. Kareem hung around for a little while, but till 87, 88. But I think by that time he was just pretty much wrapped up. He wasn't the same player anymore. He was still playing. Doc was around till about 87, but he wasn't the same player anymore.
No.
You had Moses Malone was on the scene. Was he the player for a 10-year span, or was it maybe a 5 or 6 year span?
5 or 6 year span.
Or was it in spurts? Was it peaks and valleys for Moses?
Right.
So you had
all fair.
Larry Bird again, bad man. I mean, Larry Bird was there, and he was in a lot of championships, and he was right there with Magic. I think the fact that Magic.
What was the record between them two?
I believe Bird won 3 chips and Magic won 5. Head up, I think it was I want to say 2-2, but it was because Bird got 1 against Houston as well. Actually, Bird got 2 against Houston and 1 against LA. That was his too.
But when you factor that in, the twin he beat the Twin Towers.
He beat Samson and Olajuwon. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge.
Bird did that.
Come on. That's huge. All right. Okay.
So Magic was the pick, but I don't disagree about Bird. You hear Bird stories. A story I heard was Bird was in Utah and they said cheerleaders took him out to the bar and they let him drink all these beers, and he said, "You should have gave me liquor." Like after he scored 40 on the next night.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. Or you heard Bird scored 40 with his left hand.
Yeah, like Bird is the quintessential old school player.
Yeah,
like, he's the old school grind player. Like he's a different character. It's just his look is he don't look like anything.
Yeah,
but the illest dude on the court.
Yeah. Well, what? Another person that's brought to my attention. I'm not going to diss him. I don't think he was the best player in the decade, but he's definitely got to get his shout out. Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah was a smiling assassin. Isaiah was a bad man.
Man.
When you look at lists now and they talk about Curry and these guys being better than Isaiah,
Isaiah
was a bad.
He's full package.
He could do what Kyrie Irving could do, but they didn't let them do it because it was a different
game. Yeah.
It wasn't Isaiah couldn't do that. They just didn't let them do that.
Right.
And Isaiah could score on anybody. He was a good defensive player.
Yeah.
He led a team of misfits. Joe Dumars was from McNeese State. He wasn't a drafted Hall of Famer. He was from McNeese State. I don't know many players that came out of McNeese State that we're going to just automatically think they're Hall of Famers.
Vinny Johnson.
Vinny the microwave. Yeah. Bill Lambier.
Bill Lambier.
Valley and Rodman. I mean,
come on, man.
Isaiah was in the middle of Rick Mahorn, who was on like 10 teams before he got to Detroit and found a home.
Yeah.
James Edwards. I mean, they had
James Edwards. Wow.
They had some players on that squad that were all kind of misfits, but they played with a Hall of Famer in Isaiah. Period.
Yeah. So he definitely doesn't get enough credit. Got 2 championships in that decade, and that's tremendous. Oh, wait a minute. Have I got it right?
2 championships.
88, 89.
He beat the Portland Trailblazers and he beat the Lakers.
In 88, 89.
89 and 90.
89 and 90.
Yeah.
Right. So he got 1 in the 80s and then 1 in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I got my math right.
But I liked what Isaiah said in the interview though, because they talked about him and Jordan and their relationship. And I think you got to really respect what he said. It's not a disrespect to Mike. He said, people asked him, was he chasing Mike? He said, no, Mike was chasing
me.
Mike was chasing me. He was like, I was chasing Magic and Bird. And that's real talk.
Well, to that point.
He said Mike had nothing I wanted because he hadn't won anything.
To that point, right there, I want to put a bookmark in there right there. Because what he's saying has so much to do with how the game is marketed and promoted to us, right? Yeah. That we get transfixed on individual personalities, but when you look at the actual fact of the matter, it doesn't necessarily line up with the narrative. So like somebody like yourself who was there as an avid basketball fan through those years can attest to that. Isaiah Thomas was that dude. And no, Jordan was chasing Isaiah. Absolutely. He did and eclipsed him.
Yes.
But it wasn't Jordan's universe until the 90s. Right. And that kind of gets lost in translation.
And Jordan was in the league in 84. And these guys were all there in 84. And like Isaiah said, he was chasing Magic and Bird because he would be in the stands at those championships, watching
of course.
all the time because he would be in the locker rooms with those guys because he wanted to learn how to be a winner. And that's who he was chasing. He wasn't chasing Jordan at all. So, yeah, like you said, in '84, Jordan wasn't a champion. And so that was 7 years later that he first championship, and that's in the '91, which leads right into his decade because in the '90s, Jordan is, and absolutely is no one else that will be. We can spend 2 seconds on Jordan to say
there's nobody in the '90s that has anything on Michael Jordan. It's just no conversation. Period.
Zero. I mean,
he is that dude, and he's he
won 6 NBA finals in the '90s. He won all 6. He had 6 finals MVPs.
Hold on 1 second. Big shout out to Killer Kai Will in the building, no doubt. Jersey stand up.
Oh yeah,
salute.
Killer said that we did miss it, so we could rewind because it does tie into Isaiah and Jordan.
Right.
Isaiah did get left off that dream team, and everybody who knows basketball know damn well that John Stockton shouldn't have had that spot, or Christian Laettner. One of them got to go.
Like
one of them got to go. Everybody knows that Isaiah was supposed to be in that team.
Come on, that was horrible.
And it was because everybody knows that Mike was the reason. Mike and Scotty were the reasons why. And it was a shame that Isaiah was left off the team because he was supposed to be part of that because he was one of the top 10 players in the league at that time. Period. There was no doubt about it. So yeah, shout out to Killer by letting us know that because that's why I shouted him out because he had mentioned that, and that's a great point. He was definitely left off that squad. There's no way in the world that Isaiah Thomas wasn't one of the top 15 basketball players in the United States of America at the time to represent this country. And it's like for personalities and attitudes and getting away, it's just that's just not a good look. Yeah. Well, Soupy just mentioned that Shaq got snubbed by Laettner, and we're gonna get into Shaq in the 2000s because I'm surprised my co-host on my thoughts on the 2000s because he think I'm gonna come at him on one thing that he said, but I'm gonna make his argument. I'm gonna make an argument stronger. He thinks I'm gonna argue for my man Kobe, even though Kobe was the choice that they made. There's a better. My co-host thinks it's LeBron in 2000, but
that's not what I said.
What'd you say? You said I could make a case for LeBron for 2000, correct?
No. I was making a case for Shaq.
No, I said you brought up LeBron. Clearly brought LeBron up, but I was going to
only to suggest that. It wasn't a definitive. I was just throwing it out there that LeBron was the best in the second half of the 2000s.
Oh, I didn't hear second half.
While Shaq was the definitive, but
I would say
to your point though, but to your point, and there's a suggestion.
Yes.
To your point, right? When you split the difference between the decade, Kobe was the most dominant because Shaq's latter half was
not the same guy.
Subpar. Yeah. And LeBron in the earlier part when he came in wasn't ready. He wasn't on Kobe's level. So on that,
but I'm going to argue Duncan. That's what I was going to say. I wasn't Tim Duncan. Because when I think about the decade of 2000, I think about Kobe, Shaq, and Duncan. Right. So.
That was dope.
I'm a Kobe fan and I'm a Shaq fan, but I'm a Duncan fan too, right? And Duncan was a bad man. Duncan had a similar career to Kareem when you think about just being fundamentally sound, and he didn't have an automatic shot, but he was just a bad dude. But when you start breaking it down the way you said, when you talk about head up, Shaq and Kobe had an advantage over Duncan, but they had that advantage together. But I will say that when like the arguments that people make about winning championships is a team game, it's a team for everybody. So remember when we say these things about it being a team game, Shaq didn't win without Kobe. Kobe didn't win without Shaq. So that's the bottom line with both of them. And, but like you said, for longevity from 2000 to 2009, we won't even count the fact that Kobe won in 2010. He did have a championship without Shaq, and he had 2 with Shaq, but he'd been to 5 finals in that same period of time, which is impressive. So, that's the 2000 pick, but I still think is a stronger argument for Duncan.
I agree.
In that, in that decade.
After it's all said and done in terms of me poking the bear, I would say Kobe, but you'd have to make a strong case for Tim Duncan because, you look at championships, you look at the statistics, you look at just, the dominant play, as a big man up against, everybody from Hakim, Shaq, he's played against some solid big man competition. And, you look at his numbers and they are what they are. So
listen, Sean even brought up a great point. Sean said Timmy was 50 wins every year. That's
it. That's it. Fact.
Right.
Bankable.
So we got to make sure we understand that. And Shaq didn't like Duncan. He took it personal against Duncan. Duncan was just a winner, and he's right. He worked hard. Shaq didn't like people that put him on made him accountable. Duncan made him accountable. Kobe made him accountable.
Yeah, that's real. Well, he admits it. He knows
it now, but as a man, he didn't.
He was very rebellious.
But we got one more player.
I want to say one thing about Tim Duncan.
Yep.
He could go into the playoffs.
Yep.
As an 8 seed. And win the damn thing.
Absolutely.
They did that, didn't they? Didn't they go in this 1 year as an 8 seed and win the shit?
They played
maybe a 6 seed or something like that.
No, they played an 8 seed and they won. They played in a strike shortened year against the Knicks. The Knicks were an 8 seed. They were a 1 seed, and they beat the Knicks as an 8 seed.
Yeah. Well, the point they were always dangerous.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, no matter where they're seated, no matter what they did during the year.
How Duncan was there. How about they made the playoffs every year? Duncan was there.
Come on, man. That's. Wait a minute.
That's why it's close.
Let's put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Mike never did that. Kobe never did that. LeBron never did that.
So we have to put more. We're arguing about players. We got to really break it down.
Wow!
I want to give respect to another player out there. I don't think he was I don't think he was a 2000s player, but I think his name is worthy, like Isaiah, to even have a conversation, and that's Hakim the Dream Olajuwon.
Oh, thank you, Wes. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Hakim is somebody that definitely gets overlooked in the conversation, and his numbers are phenomenal, along with the chips and the appearances and defensive stopper. I mean, unstoppable shot. You know what I mean? On the post with that, that little, and it's a lot to say for Hakim Olajuwon.
Yeah, that was the 90s guy. We forgot that we left out.
As we left the night. Yeah.
We left Isaiah out in the 80s and we left Hakim out in the 90s. And I wanted to make sure that I would be remiss not to say Hakim Olajuwon in the 90s because
that's crazy.
He deserved it. He did play. He had the 2 championships that Jordan missed. And I would have loved to see that happen because Jordan never played a team with a center that was dominant. And they had a player on the
no, played against the team with a center that was dominant.
Yeah, like who?
New York Knicks.
I'm talking about in the finals.
In the finals.
Yeah.
Sorry, Knicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Big y'all up.
Let's talk about that fact that Vernon Maxwell, Jordan is on record saying that was one player he was afraid of.
Really? Vernon Maxwell?
Yes. Jordan did not like Vernon Maxwell.
He was thugging him out or something like that. Like he was like
he was like that was one player he couldn't pump.
Word.
Jordan
really?
couldn't pump Vernon Maxwell. That was Jordan saying it too. So it would have been interesting to see that matchup. Olajuwon, Vernon Maxwell, Kenny Smith, Sam Cassell. Because I still remember Sam Cassell at the free throw line against Chicago one time, telling somebody, "I got rings too."
Yo, Sam Cassell. People sleep on that brother right there, but he is a baller.
Yep.
Yeah, sir.
And so the last decade is easy too.
Yeah, LeBron.
It's like the 90s decade. It's LeBron. Is all day, every day from 2010 to present. He's clearly the most dominant player in the NBA. Still rocking out, still playing at a high level. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I give credit where credit's due. I mean, it's right in front of you for us to see. He's doing his thing, and it's just phenomenal. Like what he's accomplishing, and he's gonna break every record. I don't think he's the GOAT in my eyes because he's chasing people that can't change anything right now, and there's still many other variables that go into it. But I give him much respect for what he's going after because is no disrespect to not be the best because again, to be the best, I think you have to beat the best, in my opinion, and they'll never get to play against each other. So it just becomes subjective in the argument.
Yeah, I totally agree 1000%. Somebody said Wade, and I'm like, come on, man, chill. It's not to take nothing away from Dwayne Wade. He's one of my favorite players.
Not Wade.
Yeah, it's just at D Wade's prime.
Yeah,
he may have been the best player of the decade, but I don't think he stretched it across the decade long enough to be considered. Like in his prime, like that. Dwayne Wade was, he was remnants of Michael Jordan to me. Remnants of, you could see it.
Yeah.
But over the long haul, not so much. You'd have to give that to LeBron.
So go ahead.
I got a question for you though.
Uh-huh.
All right, considering now that we've seen so many games of Kevin Durant.
Yep.
And his offensive game is just right on level where he left it.
Yep.
Who's the best player in the league, LeBron or KD?
Right now, it's still LeBron. And I want to say KD, I do, but it's just so early, and it's still LeBron right now. But I definitely think that Brooklyn will be a different team in a few months, and we'll see what happens. But I think it's LeBron, right? Still think it's LeBron right now. So. But I'm looking at the comments, and since we backed up on the 90s and the 80s, we got to back up one more time just to give these other two fellows for the 2000 the shout out award, and that's AI and KG, the initial brothers, and two bad men. And kind of similar in a lot of their ways, but so different because of their positions. They were just very. They formed a movement because of their personalities. They were leaders by personality because they were just down. You know what I'm saying? Like those just brothers were just down first. And then AI at 6 feet or less, he just played the game like a big man, fearless, got to the hole, got the highlight on Jordan. Not many people got highlights on Jordan. AI has the highlight on Jordan.
Got two of them actually.
Yeah.
Bring you back. Come here.
Yeah.
Let me do it again. Come here.
How many cats step over people in the finals? Stepping over future coaches. You know what I'm saying?
Hold these for me.
And KG, man, KG was just that guy. Like animation, just bringing. He bought his lunchbox too. KG, he tore up Chris Webber. He tore up Dirk. He tore up Tim Duncan. He tore them all up, but he had no help. He didn't have no help all those years. He was by himself. But he was like the epitome of the power forward for a minute because he was the first power forward to really pat the ball on the ground.
Yeah, no doubt. Take it outside, J you up with an outside game. Inside and outside game. So
we're going to shout KG out, and that was a good call, AI and KG. We definitely got to give them their props. They weren't the best players of the decade, but they were definitely honorable mentions and need to be worth mentioning during that time. So,
okay.
Good call on that, fellas.
So you know what? Let's bring my man Spliffy Allen into the conversation, the Zach Master. And let's see what he feels. Like we got some suggestions from the audience, so we'll throw them at him for a second and see what it is. What up, brother Cliff? What's the deal, man?
What's up, fellas? What's going on?
All right. Yeah, man. So we having an all-decade discussion in terms of the GOATs. Throughout the years in basketball, and we've come to we've narrowed it down, or someone's narrowed it down. We're just reading off the winners of each decade. We got Wilt, Kareem, Magic, Michael, Kobe, LeBron. Considering those decades, do you think any missing pieces, any shuffles? Who would you add to the mix?
Nah, those are pretty solid. I was listening obviously as y'all were going through them, and the beauty and joy of being a men of our age is that we saw all this almost up close and personal. Obviously not starting with Kareem, but we have clear references to the 60s and 70s, and then obviously we lived the 80s and 90s and 2000s. But yeah, we've seen some extreme talents, and we've seen the evolution of where the game was and where it is now, and basically how most of those players made their bones. And the list is accurate. The list is definitely accurate. I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. I got somebody asked, "What's up with Anthony Hardaway? If he stayed healthy, where does he land in the history books?"
Can I answer that one?
Yeah, please.
I like Penny Hardaway, right? But I'm gonna use Shaquille O'Neal's reference to what my thoughts on Anthony Hardaway. Shaquille O'Neal referenced The Godfather when he talks about Anthony Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, and Kobe Bryant. He played with all three of them, and he said that Kobe Bryant was Sonny Corleone, hot-headed and just a high temper. I think that's accurate. He called Dwayne Wade Michael Corleone, cool and just knew how to play his role, but was watching all the time, but was a real assassin. I think that's accurate. And to answer your question, Penny was Fredo. And that's pretty much how I look at Penny Hardaway. And, I mean, I think Penny was a good player, but I always felt like he was a little he was nice. He had that unique talent, but there was just always something missing for me with his game. And I don't know if it was his energy, his burn, but it was before he got hurt. It was just something about him with that. And I thought Shaq's analogy was perfect.
Yeah, well,
he definitely had supreme talent, and he was definitely of the same quality as the Kobe and the Dwayne Wade, but he wasn't. He just didn't have the ultimate it factor. You know what I'm saying? Where he can just bring you over. Because don't get it twisted. When Penny came out, remember with the little pennies and all that, he was the iconic. Where they were pushing athletes to a different level, but he just didn't. As far as like his balling ability, it just didn't. It was just something that just didn't just take him over to that next level.
Absolutely, that's what it was. It was something that he just didn't reach that level that we expected because he had the puppet and he was nice enough to have it, but it was something that was missing, like you said, and that's how it felt.
Well, I think because Shaq did the documentary reflecting on that whole but that chapter in his career. And just to hear him talk about what could have been if the mind state of both of them
were different.
It was different. Like so, it was an interesting perspective coming from Shaq and Penny, talk. So I think Penny definitely he could have been a lot if they could have managed those two personalities more.
I think Shaq left, it hurt him, and it didn't motivate him. You know what I'm saying? When Shaq left, it hurt him, but he didn't channel that anger to try to be better. He kind of like sulked, like he felt sorry for himself, and that was, I guess, that's what I'm talking about his personality. He became a victim, and I didn't. That's what I think it really was. But
he was, but you got to also look at what they were coming off of. I mean, they went to that finals and they got swept. And going into that finals, they were beasts, they were dogs, and people were giving them props. And you thought both of them were on the supreme come-ups. You thought them all, and then they got swept out of nowhere.
And
you know
what
what
I'm
saying? And Shaq left. I know it was a wrap right after that. Just that way.
Now I think the penny call is a good call. It's just that the where they are now segment, but it's really that's what it pretty much what it was with Penny. Like he had an opportunity to do something, but it just never panned out.
Now Grant Hill.
Now
if he could have not had so many injuries or could have overcome the injuries he had, I mean, I see him as somebody who could have really been on that
different conversation.
That
Grant Hill was a problem. He was a
problem.
He was a problem. He got hurt, and Grant Hill won 2 NCAA championships. His basketball greatness has never been, to me, is not in question. He didn't just sneak up on anybody. He was that guy.
He was that guy. His supremely talented and gave it to you on the court.
He gave it to you. So I'm all good with Grant Hill. Anybody want a conversation about him? I know what his problem was, clearly.
Yeah.
I had another good question here. So, I mean, this kind of wrap things up, but we can give out real quick thoughts about who that guy is for 2020 and beyond. Do we have somebody that's taking the torch from 20 until? Is it a Kyrie? Is it? I mean, think about it. I mean, is it going to be your man from
Zion? It could be
Zion?
Zion.
Is it going to be Zion? You know,
It could be Luka. I mean, we got a lot.
Somebody said last night. They said Luka had 30, 36, and what did Luka have last night?
It could be Luka. You know,
30, 35 and 16 last night.
Is it Giannis? It could be Giannis. I mean, so it's a lot of guys we could think about. I think it's too early to tell, but we got the next 10 years to talk about it. But
I know it's a long.
Or witness it. But
you got a lot of talent in the NBA. You got the Trae Youngs.
Trae Young, there's a lot to look at. So good. That was a good comment.
Murray. You got Jokic. You got a lot of these young.
Yeah, a lot of cats.
But while we're here, though, AD, Anthony Davis, is he going to get his act together? Does LeBron have to carry this team to the chip?
He got a championship. What you want from him?
I want another one. What are you talking about? I want another one.
He might be placing himself.
Well, I kind of think where Hawk is going with this, because it did seem like he kind of lost a little of his passion this year, that fire that he had after getting the chip. Now, granted, the years, the season is young and the whole nine, but he's not playing like the AD I remember for many years. Like many of the games I see him play this year.
Even that AD you're talking about, they had to push him to be that AD.
Yeah.
Like that's Rondo, really. Not just Rondo, of course, his coaching staff, but they had to really push him to be that dominant player. Give me the goddamn ball. And I see him kind of like loafing around, like picking his spots.
Yeah.
And he's not attacking.
No, he's not.
It's just not.
We're gonna wait on him, but I think you're both right. I think you guys are both right. I think I think it's a fire. And people can say he's pacing himself. I don't see that. I see him being complacent with his championship.
Oh yeah. A complacency has set in. And
my shit right there.
Huh?
That's my shit right there.
What's that?
Crickets.
Oh yeah, my crickets. Yeah, they always go off. Yeah.
Fred said AD too nonchalant.
Yeah.
Yo, big shout out to Derek Parks in the house. D Parks. AD is loose change. Really, you get full quarters out of him. No doubt. Come on. AD, step your game up. Sorry, so listen. Because right now we at 8:13. We don't Cliff. We got a Super Bowl coming up, bro. And
I know it.
We need to know what the mathematics is on it, bro.
It's early though. Change.
Huh? No, it's early, but I don't think it's going to change. It looks like right now, Kansas City is favored by 3, and the total is 56.5, and it hasn't really moved since the lines come out.
Okay.
Real tricky line, only because you got the GOAT getting points at home in the playoffs, all unprecedented. But then you got Patrick Mahomes on the other side. So it's just like, the kid. And the kid is what? A baby goat, right?
Exactly.
I think, and to be honest with you, this is how we all really taking this for granted right now. But I think in 10, 20 years, people are going to be looking back to this game because we don't know if they're ever going to face each other again with this magnitude, with this much on the line. And the count right now is 2-2. So again, who would want to break the tie in the Super Bowl? Okay, now if you look at it as far as future GOAT and current GOAT, if Patrick can win this, basically he has to catch him from 2 to 6. If he loses, he's going from 1 to 7, and that's a lot. If you really think about it, like, so this is one that's really going to separate them. A lot of people aren't thinking about it like that because Brady's so far ahead of him. But if he can get to 2 right here, his third year,
more. Yeah, he can get 4 more. If 4 more is better, it's easier than getting 6 more.
Yeah,
but
even if he gets 2 or 3 more, listen, even if he gets 2 or 3 more, but doesn't play the 20-year career, because we don't know how this shit's going. We don't know how everything's going to shape out. You know what I'm saying? The longevity on a career. We thought Marino was going to go. Now Marino had the longevity of a career. He just didn't go. Just keep going back. But we don't know what's going to happen with Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is the real pivotal one right here, and this is the one for all the marbles, even though it's early in his career. And I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm staying with the kid. Let's go with the GOAT. I can't seem to pick a right side on the NFC side, so I'm gonna stay with my AFC side. I'm going Patrick Mahomes. Laying a 3, and I think that it'll be a good game, but I think he can do it. I really think he can do it.
I'm gonna wait till next week because somebody bound to do something crazy in Tampa. Somebody might get cold. Somebody might get cold.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true.
There's a whole lot of things that we gotta wait for, but I'm like I told Hawk, I'm leaning towards the GOAT right now, but I can see people picking Mahomes, and I might change next week, but I just want to kind of wait for things to play out because I think we're gonna see some changes. We might see some stories happen next week. That's my point. Because nobody's gonna play football at home. Remember, they're all home, and this is the difference. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know what can happen being at home. So it's gonna be interesting.
So we got some interesting comments. Michael Milton says defense will dictate the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
And Aaron Rice says don't bet against Brady. Everyone knows that. You see what AR did in the pressurized spot last week. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers,
I like that. I agree with
that. But coming off a Super Bowl last year, Mahomes is definitely not Aaron Rodgers in terms of, the pressure is not different for him. I think, he's not the head case that Aaron Rodgers is. And Derek Proctor's game is not going to be as close as people think. Casey got mad weapons on both sides of the ball.
I'm telling you, that dude, Tyreek Hill, his speed in space, I mean, like not in space, his speed in crowds is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
That dude's speed in football speed is crazy.
Yo, he's a circus waiting to happen. he's a circus waiting to happen.
Yeah, he's a problem. He's definitely one that will exploit. He had 200 plus in the first quarter last time they played. Okay, so he's gonna get after it with them. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good. I do would like to give a shout out to Tampa Bay's defense because again they have been balling, and that front 4 is a beast with Pierre Paul and but see, this is what a lot of people are sleeping on. Those linebackers, they're not getting all the due and all the acclaim because people don't know about them, but they're rough. And they come in with the hard hats too, yo.
They got good linebackers. But shout out got to go to for all you Wire watchers back in the day. Shout out got to go to Bunny Coven, aka Ty Bowles.
Yeah.
That's my man in them right there. He's doing a good job on the defense for Tampa Bay. So it's gonna be a good game. But Spliffy, we got to have you back to make the official pick next week.
Yeah, see what happens in the meantime, and we'll take notes and be prepared.
I'll definitely keep my ear to the ground, and any of the latest that goes on, I'll try to update you fellas. But I appreciate you having me on the show as always.
Yeah, you already know, and I'm gonna hold my pick as well with West for next week. And man, so this show was phenomenal, gentlemen. I think once again we really did something special. This conversation was dope, much needed on so many fronts. Big West, Spliffy Allen, and everybody else in the building who joined us, I thank you. And this is gonna wrap up IZM Sports, IZM TV, because all we do is spark IZM, y'all. We out of here.